thanks for joining. We have our first workshop of this year, and which of course setting the stage for success in 2024. So goal planning and action strategies for leaders. And thinking about now, we are still within the first week of January. It's still very fresh. New Year was only just a few days away, a few days ago. Though it seems still quite a long time in a way, which is funny. But lots of sort of the year up ahead coming up, and big question is, well, what do we do? Right? What's the intention that we want to set ourselves in order to do all these things that we want to or need doing, perhaps? So a bit about me. You know me from different ways, and this is a screenshot ready to show some of the things I've been up to last year. Some of you have been following me a little bit, so you probably know of what I've been up to. So I've been at church as a chairman and elder. I've run a workshop in person. I've worked with some coaches, Lisa and Sean in the US, Sean Smith and Lisa Nichols in the US. I graduated from their coaching program, which is about speaking and transformational coaching. I practice some of the martial arts as well, Tai Chi here, as you can see, and also a picture of me with my son, who is now 20. And I thought I'd start as well by showing you this graphic. And I wonder, this is almost one of those questions like on, QI or something. And the question I've asked to ask you, if you would hazard a guess as to why I put those two messages up, or two pictures up here. Have any idea?
I can only relate to the door 2024 door right opening,
Yes.
new opportunities, but the thing on the left, no idea.
Okay.
Some Greek mythology.
Yeah. That's close.
There's the thing on the left looking at you. You can go either way, and you can choose your direction.
Yeah, it's good. Good guess. Yeah, it's actually it's a Roman god from Roman mythology called Janus. Janus, who was this god who looked forward and back. So the idea he would look forward into time and look back as well in the past. And he was supposedly god of doorways, right? God of doorways, the god of also associated with beginning and end. And he's also the reason why the month of January is named January, because it's named after Janus. And I believe as well, there's the word Genesis you're probably familiar with. It's probably an earlier, well, from Greek, which probably led to the Greeks adopting the name of Janus. So it's sort of somehow related. But anyway, so basically the reason here is that this is the time of the year, we're in January, where typically traditionally it's a new beginning. We're looking forward into the new year, but we're also in the bridge, we're looking backwards as well into the past year. Hence the message of why I put the doorway in this coin. So so where we are in January at the moment. And as we're looking forward into the new year, it's important as well to plan goals. And traditionally, a lot of businesses, for example, a lot of people do their own personal goal planning. And as well, it's important as well, what's the strategies that we need to put into place to basically achieve those goals. So of course, it's not just about planning goals, it's also importantly to achieve something with those goals. And by having these goals and having these strategies for meeting them, we also need as well to make sure we've got accountability. It's a measure of how we perform, right? We also need to make sure that our goals are aligned strategically rather than just pick any goal in order to achieve what we want. And also by having goals as well, they inspire others. They can also inspire ourselves and also provide us with that motivation that we need in order to do those things, achieve those projects, or maybe to elevate our business, whatever it is that we want to do in order to perform and get the most out of our lives, both professionally and in the personal setting as well. So in today's session, what I want to do is cover a few things, and I listed them here. We'll start off by looking back at the previous year, 2023, And at the same, then we will look at it forward in terms of 2024, what's defined our vision and a sense of our purpose. And then we'll spend some time sort of setting some solid goals. So we go through some exercises there, and then we'll make a start at defining a action plan for you in accordance to one of your goals that you have in mind. And we'll cover as well something to do with accountability and how we track our progress before we finish with next steps, and a opportunity as well for any questions and answers. I should say as well that I invite you to, if there's any questions or comments you have during any point during today's session, during the remainder of the hour, then please do speak up. And it's all a very interactive session. That's what I want to make it. Great. So we'll move on. So we reflect on the last year, on past year, 2023. We've just gone through. And for those of you, anyone who was at my last webinar, I basically had an exercise where people sat in a imaginary cinema watching this film. This film was actually the film of their life during the past year. So playing back. So if you're watching, imagine you're watching the movie of your movie for 2023. I'd like to ask you here is, what are you grateful for in 2023? Something that maybe you can note down in terms of what are you grateful for? For me, for example, I am grateful for the opportunities that have come my way in terms of being able to speak on a Lisa Nichols event. I'm very grateful as well that I got an opportunity to go on a glider, flight, all the different things that I'm grateful for. So question I'd like to ask yourselves is, what are you grateful for in 2023? Okay. Can we move on? And so you want to say something? Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, so sorry. I thought you was asking the
Sure.
question, or what are you grateful for? And you were looking for somebody to say something.
No, not. I was giving you some thinking time. You can absolutely
Yeah.
can share if you want, but I was just wanting to give you some time without me speaking so that you can reflect in some silence,
Yeah. Well, well, I suppose it's been a eventful year, and also just for businesses. Obviously, being in Hong Kong as well.
Yes.
Well, I think I saw you twice, isn't it?
You
Yeah,
did, yes.
twice.
We met
Saw you
twice.
twice. Once with your family and once with your father as well.
Yes.
Grateful, very very grateful for that. Found out a lot of things about your dad when obviously met him as well. During the time that he was here in Chinatown as well. So, found out a lot of things regarding the martial art. Restaurant owners that were related to the martial arts and that. Yeah, very very it's very very eventful for me personally.
Really?
From a
Right.
personal perspective.
Yeah.
Don't know about you, John.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of time this year with family. And so, yes, I think I took some time off from work and was able to walk my daughter to school for a large part of the last year at junior school, and now she's moved up to senior school. So I think I'm grateful for the time I was able to do that.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Thanks, John. That's great to hear that. And then I'd like to ask you, reflecting on your last year, is 2023. What were your key challenges that you faced? What some key challenges? Maybe it's one. Maybe you have.
Yeah, I mean, I think I well, one of the key things for me, right? Obviously, I've been looking for work as well, and I've been working mainly in IT in the financial sector. I've been able to pivot, my other skills. I'm a guitar player and also teach martial arts as well. So I've been able to pivot especially on the musical side. Learning, teaching at 3 private schools, even though it's not related to what I did before. I've been able to I've been able to uh, use my skills that I've used in the past. So I've been managing teams in the past, quite large teams as well in the financial sector. And I've been able to sort of like communicate that. So I'm teaching kids like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And again, the thing that I've learned is it's all about the communication process. Is that you've got to make it as simple as possible for them. And it's like managing team. I didn't realize this when I was doing it. I just thought teaching kids is just going to be a challenge, and they're not going to be paying any attention and things like that. But actually, it's very, very similar to running the team. Actually, you've got to get your point across. You've got to make it as simple as keep it as simple as possible, and they've got to be able to understand it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the key challenges for that I've been on. It's a small thing, but it's one of the.
It's a challenge. It's clearly a challenge that you've identified. Yeah.
I've never taught kids before as well. Not at that age. So again, that's another new challenge for me to do that. And I wouldn't say it was easy either. Trying to keep their attention for an hour while you're teaching them, how to play guitar chord and things like that. It's not been easy, but I've had to sort of like narrow it down, to other things as well. But that's one of the key things for me. And I've been doing it since sort of like September, beginning of the the last term of school. Yeah.
Thanks, Michael, for sharing that. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
John, anything from your side? I know you're not nodding a little bit into what Michael was saying.
So yeah, like I said, some of the biggest challenges this year has been finding my next contract. So I work on contracts, and the market has changed a little bit in the UK, and getting the next contract that I'm in at the moment took quite a lot to get to it. So yeah, I think that's probably my biggest challenge.
Right. Okay.
Are you paid by the day, John, as well? Are you on a daily rate? Yeah. I mean, I did that as well when I was in the majority of my work experience is actually in the UK. I mean, I did 25 years before I moved to Hong Kong, and that was only 3 years ago. So I know where you're coming from. Are you more pharmaceutical, or are you more?
Pharmaceuticals.
I know you're. Yeah. Okay. So more Jung's area. Yeah. Okay.
Well, my old area, I should say.
Yeah.
your old area. Yeah.
The old area that I spent 25 years doing. Yes.
Yeah.
We were both in that area for a few years. Yeah. And then I moved out.
Yeah.
Into
back in the day, so John and I, we were at the same university for our postgrad, for our PhD as well.
Oh, Southampton was
yes,
it?
It was.
Yeah, okay.
Going back a long way, but indeed. Okay,
that's
so
it's nice. It's nice that you've kept in contact over so many years as well. It's really nice that you did that, actually.
We were a small group, weren't we?
We quite very recently. Good. Yeah.
So are you actually from London, John? Are you from North or?
No, I'm from a place called Oswestry, which is on the North Wales border.
Oh, okay. North Wales border.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Okay, so then we come to the next question is, very quickly, is what did you learn about yourself in 2023? Maybe one key thing that you learned about yourself. Maybe you learned a lot of things, but maybe one thing that particularly you learned about yourself in 2023.
I think personally for myself is not, I suppose the blunt term is keeping my mouth shut, and listening, listening about things as well. So this is also relationship basis, and also, looking at the whole picture. So just the relationship that I have with obviously my girlfriend, and also her mother and father as well. Just being able to sit down, listen, and not speak. I suppose not try to solution whatever you're hearing whenever you're hearing a problem as well. Rather just listen and just say, okay, yeah, I can see that you're facing problems with that, and not trying to not trying to solution the the situation as well. So yeah, that's one thing that I've learned to do in 2023.
Great, thank you, Mike, for sharing that. Yeah. Okay. And okay, so I don't know if Sean, if you want to share anything at all there on that point.
Yeah. So we did a course which was around how to parent. So we've got children that are moving into their teenage years. And one of the things in the course there was quite interesting. So it's not necessarily about myself, but it's really making sure that you understand why people are doing things. So it was around how, when you have children, they're very young, they need to they do everything that you tell them to, and you're in charge, and they need to follow your instructions, and that's how it works. But as they grow older, they've got to transition from being accepting everything that you say to making decisions for themselves. So when they challenge you back about, why do I have to do this? It's part of that developing into their adult self. And so it was then not to take that challenge personally. It's kind of like they have to do that in their growth process from going from a child to an adult. So it was then, not to take as many things quite as personally as I may do. Yeah.
It seems like you've learned a lot. That's a big lesson there, I think, to learn. Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Let's move on. Thanks for sharing that. So I'd like then to move on then to next bit is about defining our vision and purpose moving forward. And so I'd like to ask, it's two questions really. The first question is, what is a key, if you think, imagine yourself, I'm here, imagine you're flying and you're looking out into 2024, and there is a particular landmark in that year, in the year of 2024 ahead of you. And what is that key landmark, that achievement that you want to accomplish in 2024?
Do you want to go first, John, or shall I?
This is the bit that I'm a little bit stuck on.
Okay.
In terms of, I'm not really sure on what my vision is for 2024. I'm not sure that I've really got one. So it was kind of like, okay, let's see if there's any help that can be on the course to help me get to that point of what I really want to get out of 2024. So
and thanks for being very up front with that, John, because it is not necessarily everyone will have like this, compelling vision immediately clear to them. People just like, well, I don't know yet, and that's absolutely fine. It's important to have those questions, because then we start looking and seeing what's important and what's meaningful. I mean, we can have vision for things, but it may not be something that is particularly meaningful for us, or it's just more of the same. So it's important to look at that. But we can talk a bit more about that. Maybe Michael, you can share what yourself.
So obviously you met Fletcher when you're out first. I think it was August when you met. So one of the things that he's helped me to do is he's joined a community network of CEOs, and basically people at that C-level suite, and I think there's about 190,000 members there in APAC, in the Asia Pacific, right? That's occurred. So I joined that in December. So I started networking with the people, as in just handing name cards out and just seeing what it was about. So I actually met with Fletcher last night, actually, Jung, or one of the things. And one of the things that he said was this: is that I can get you the audience, right? But at the end, I can get the audience, right? can put you in front of these people, but at the end of it, what is it that you can help them do to solve that? So one of the things that I'm working on is, right, okay, you do a 20-minute presentation saying, it can be any subject whatsoever. But again, it's the key thing is that I think one of the things that I talked about was mobile, companies and corporations using mobile phones and how easy they are to hack as well. And one of the things that I was thinking about was, when you join a seminar, webinar, or whatever it is, right? They usually make you use a QR code and scan whatever what's stood down on the wall. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can do a hack on that, and say, you've been hacked, and just threaten them, and just go, oh, how did you manage to do that?
So there's a certain type of project that you can envisage that you could
just say to them, I'm a subject matter expert in this area, and I've managed to hack your phone without you even realizing it, and that's how easy it is. I'm not even a hacker.
Okay.
It's more to do with being able to become a subject matter, and also at the end thinking, yeah, actually, if I want to know about anything to do with say mobile device management, right, he's the guy that I need to come to. So again, it's one of the things that I was trying to narrow down with him. Also, another thing I talked about with him was risk as well. Not just IT. I mean, I'm from an IT background, right? But IT risk, not just IT risk, but business risk as well. How the appetite for a company to to look at that, and just trying to narrow down the areas, with it. I mean, all these corporates.
So I suggest maybe then it is a case of, yes, in a way, it's like so you have an idea of what you want to do, and then so that's something that you can perhaps aim at. You can maybe just define that bit more as part of that, getting to that achievement. So actually on the way there. So then the second question really is, what's important about this achievement to you? So I can maybe just say, maybe give you an example, because I know, John, I can give you maybe some ideas here. Is like, so what is a landmark achievement for me? So one achievement I envisage is that, well, I want to be on a stage somewhere to give to spread my message about what I do, my personal mastery. So I would want to be on a stage somewhere. Now it could be a stage. Now I need to define what that stage is, or event. But I envisaged as for me, that would be a landmark event, because I would have, people would know the message that I'm actually working on, that I'm absolutely passionate about. And here as well, why is it important for me? This particular achievement important for me? It's important because, well, it's really what I want to do. I want to spread my message. I want to help people to become more empowered in what they do. Simply that. So in a way, these two aspects are, well, the one is like, well, what does it want to do? And the other is like the why. It's touching at the why. And it's effectively, the first question is touching, what is your vision, right? What is it that you want to see in this year? So a vision could be, for example, if John, getting that, it could be sort of having a sort of or a fairly good likelihood of getting clients or contract or whatever on a rolling basis, so that you don't need to worry so much about it next year, for example. So have more sustainability. That it could be something like that, right? As an achievement, something like that. Or it could be just getting the next contract. But I anticipate one thing could be, well, you want to look beyond the next contract or the one coming up, so that you can always have something rolling there, and so that you don't need to be stuck. So that could be something as an aspect, right? Just as for me, for example, it's all about getting more clients to coach, etc. And then the purpose, the why, is important, because, well, if there's no why, or it's a bit pointless, then what's the point? I know it's a bit blasé to say that, but it's like, if we have a sense of that purpose of what it is that we want, then that keeps us motivated. It provides the drive that we need in order to keep going, especially when things get tough. And things will generally get tough, right? and that having that purpose is important, knowing that why. So I hope that sort of maybe gives some clarity as to what I'm trying to get at here in terms of setting those intentions by having a vision. Well, I know the defining of the vision, and also understand a bit more what that purpose is behind the vision. Right.
Great.
Great. So we come to bit then to setting these goals, right? And it's important to have solid goals, not just any goals. Bruce Lee famously, one of his sayings that he came up with was always keep your goals in focus. And by having a goal, everything else goes out of focus. So your intention, your focus is really just to make a goal happen or make you get closer to that goal, right? So you almost divide everything else you're cutting out of your attention. Because often, you know, in this age, we're distracted by so many different things pulling at us with different needs, people who want various things from us, but may not be aligned with what we really want. So that focus is very important. And some of the pitfalls of goal setting, a few sort of common problems I share here. One is that vague goals lead to vague results. If we say something vague, oh, I'm going to lose weight or something, that's very vague. If I lose 1 kilo or I lose 10 grams, both are effectively the same type of losing weight, but it's vague, right? If I say I want to lose weight, it's not very specific. Goals that are unrealistic also lead to poor results. If a goal that we set ourselves is impossible, right, then we get overwhelmed. We feel, well, why not bother? And then we don't do anything. We don't do anything, and hence the outcome is that we just fail completely. Also, be aware that some goals that maybe we set maybe are too easy for us. I think it's important if we have a goal that we have an opportunity of setting for ourselves is not too hard, is not too easy, but is a bit of a stretch for us, that we need to put a bit more effort. We need to work differently. We need to apply not just effort, but maybe to be smarter in a way to actually achieve something. And that really gives us growth. Like we feel better at it when we've done something that's a little bit outside our comfort zone, just a little bit beyond our current capabilities. That's really growth. And as well, if we have too many goals, then that's a problem too, because we can't focus on anything. If everything becomes top priority, then nothing is.
Produces anxiety.
Absolutely. Yes, very much so. So here's what I want to suggest for you today. We're going to work through a little bit here in terms of defining a goal for you. So take a key achievement that you have in your vision for 2024, whatever that is. So for me, for example, it's to be on a stage speaking event this year, right? So I need to define a bit more, but that's something I would take, and maybe you can pick for yourself whatever that key achievement that you have in your vision for next year is, for this year is. So with that in mind, I'd like you then to apply this tool you might have heard before called SMART. That's the first thing I'd like you to apply. So what does SMART mean? SMART means, first of all, the S is for specific, to be very clear as to what it is that goal actually is. So where I said earlier, the example of, say, losing weight, I'm not saying that I need to lose weight, but just an example that we can all relate to in some way. So I want to be specific. Let's say I want to lose, I don't know, 1 kilo or something by, I don't know, by next 2 months' time or something like that, right? That's fairly specific rather than just saying, let's lose weight. Okay. The M is measurable. Clearly, the progress that you make towards that goal, and to determine whether you achieve the goal, it needs to be easily measurable, right? So in the case of measuring weight loss, then it's just a case of regularly measuring my weight, right? So it's clear as to what we're doing. So some goals may be harder to measure, but then you need to think, well, what would be an indicator of that? For example, if you're looking at your own ability to be confident, well, what would be an activity that you could do with that extra confidence. And how would you determine that? Maybe it's seeking feedback from others. Maybe it's maybe it's sort of just seeing a recording of yourself speak or something. If I'm a speaker, these ways of actually being able to measure what progress you're making. The A means actionable, and that means make something that you can do yourself, that you can make your own steps to achieving, right? So you can do something, maybe repeated effort, maybe repeated steps, but you eventually will be able to achieve that goal. If it's not something that you can do, then then that's not actionable. Realistic means it's grounded in reality, right? You're not setting yourself an impossible goal. Okay, that's very important. And if it's unrealistic, it's not going to be achievable at all, very clearly. An important aspect as well, which you no doubt are familiar with, is that it's time-based. You're setting a time for achieving that goal. Okay, so by a certain time, certain deadlines, you've set something up in mind and you've written it down. It's clear. And I say as well, a goal is good if you can communicate, if you share it with other people, at least for an aspect of accountability, so that someone is aware that you're trying to achieve this goal, and that they can be there to help you, to maybe give you that motivation, to encourage you, especially when things aren't going so well, perhaps, which often we can do. So the next is I would ask you to apply, and this is an acronym called HEART, which I got from a memory expert, Jim Quick, where H is healthy. And healthy means that the goal that you've set it's good for you, right? I don't just mean physically. I mean, it's in a way that helps you lead a fulfilling life in a holistic way. So, for example, if I'm, say, working in a corporate role and I want to meet a target of, I don't know, something crazy like 50% more than what I've done the year before, and if that means I'll have to work every waking hour, right, of my working life, so during the working week, that is clearly not going to be good for me. It's not going to serve me because I'm going to burn out, and that's not good. So I think being healthy, thinking, well, what does it do for your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, and I'd even say your spiritual health as well. What does it mean you doing this goal? It doesn't necessarily mean that your goal would touch everything there would be benefit, but there's going to be some things that are going to benefit more. But it's if you've got an awareness of how it's beneficial to you in terms of being healthy, that's important. Now, the E is enduring. Is that goal that you've set, is it going to last? Is it going to be there to it's going to be compelling, that it's going to be that, when you're feeling a bit low, you're feeling low in motivation, but that goal is there, and you need that feel that it's something there to pull you through, to get you to do it, right? So it's important to remember. So if something, let's say I want to be able to I don't know, achieve a certain exercise goal, I don't know, like being able to walk up a hill without losing my breath. It may be hard for me to keep training, but if I think, well, if I can do that, then that means I can play with my kids or whatever without losing my breath. Then that's a goal that's going to endure, and particularly when I'm feeling really down and finding it hard to do the training. The A is alluring or more attractive, in that when you talk about it, you feel energized by it, you feel good about it, right? When you share it with other people, let's say, people are like, well, yeah, that sounds like a really great idea, it's something, but ultimately it's something that really pulls you through. This is a goal it feels good. It's not just a goal that you just picked up and just run with. It's a goal that you personally feel is good for you. A goal that is important it's relevant. R for relevant. That means it's relevant to you. It's relevant to what you want to achieve, right? So if your purpose is, for me, for example, a purpose is to be a speaker globally, then a goal that I set myself would need to be relevant to that. If I'm thinking about something else, I want to be, focus on being I don't know, being like a trainer or to learn a language or something, that is not quite aligned or relevant to that overall vision, right? The last letter here, T, is truth. That means it's authentic to us, right? So it's your goal. It's your goal. It's basically personal to you. It's not just someone else that's just given you a goal. And that's important. So here it's about really this heart, really, I say, is that it's a sort of checklist in a way of ensuring that the goal that you set for yourself is healthy, is right for you. It makes sense. Because otherwise you can just create any goal, you still meet the SMART criteria, but then it's not aligned, it's not meaningful, it's not relevant. And why is this all important? It's important because at the end of the day, we're setting goals for ourselves. And it's important that when we're setting our goals, these are to help us achieve, to get things done that are meaningful to us and to make progress in our professional life, in our personal life. So then we come then to an action plan. We've defined a goal. We need to create an action plan, because if we don't have any actions, then a goal is just a goal, right? So here's the exercise. You take one goal, right? And then you clearly, the first thing you want to do is break it down into smaller steps, smaller achievable steps. So for me, for example, when I want to be that speaker up on a stage somewhere, it may not be so feasible for me suddenly to be where I am right now and then to just immediately be in a stage somewhere. There's going to be some steps that I would need to take, smaller steps to get me into position to be able to get there, right? So one thing could be, for example, one step could be prepare like a reel of me speaking at smaller events, my own events or whatever. That could be one sort of step. Another step could be getting in touch with all these, or finding out what other speaking opportunities there are that people in my network have. So there's different things it's like that I can define as small steps to get to my bigger goal. So breaking it down into small steps. The second is then to prioritize those steps. Now, this doesn't mean that all the steps are necessarily taken sequentially. There's some things that need to happen at certain times, absolutely. But think about what is a key step for you in order for you to get to that bigger one goal. And then thirdly, if you take that top priority step for you, to identify, look at it in terms of the following requirements. One is clearly time. What's the deadline that you have in mind? Or it could be someone else's set, right? What's the duration of time that you have in order to work on that goal? And also, what's the frequency of effort that you need to make? Okay. So if it's, you've got a deadline coming up, I don't know, to make an application to something or some job or whatever, or a prospective employer, saying you've got 2 weeks, doesn't mean you're going to solidly work for 2 weeks, every hour. There's going to be certain time that you're going to do, and also what makes sense for you in terms of frequency, right? Do you do it every day, maybe 1 hour a day or whatever it is, right? That sort of thing is important. And then also think about what type of support you need. Is it your team who you need to get involved, peers? Maybe you've got a mentor, or maybe you work with a coach to ensure that you get the support you need to get to achieving those goals. And then other things as well you might need to consider, the resources that you need. One is clear, maybe financial, the expertise, and as well, what facilities you might need for whatever it is that you are working on. And then fourthly, as I ask you, is plan how you will monitor the progress on your task. So the measurability, how you measure to determine that you're making progress, and also that you determine that you've reached your goal. That is very important. And then I'd also suggest as well is that to celebrate the progress you make on your tasks, right? So if, for example, if you get a contract, right, with a client, with a client, then that's perhaps something to celebrate in some way. it doesn't have to be a big, massive celebration, but it could be a small thing. Maybe it's like a little break somewhere, whatever it is that you want to, something you plan. Because I think we often, and you may identify with this as well, often I think certainly within often corporate land, is often we're so focused on doing and achieving, and then we move on to the next project. And then we keep doing it on and go, and there's very little time not just to celebrate or acknowledge the effort that was being made by teams to actually get there. We just on to the next thing. And the celebration, I think, is important, if anything, for our own sake, to acknowledge that we put in effort, because it's that effort that we applied that get us to where we want to be. So then we come to accountability and tracking progress. I'll briefly mention it. It's important to have accountability, because if you don't have an accountability, then no one knows whether you're achieving making any progress or not. And I think without any intentional effort, then goals just remain as goals. Right? You've probably heard of people say, "Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I've got all these plans and stuff." And then you see the next time, and then like you think, "Hang on, what happened to those plans that they had, or those goals?" And like, oh, talk is just talk, right? Words. And what's important, goals are not goals for the sake of goals. Goals are there to help you make effort to actually achieve, to get to where you want to be or make that progress. Making measurable progress on your goals is crucial, quite clearly. That's what the goals are there for. And as well, it's important in terms of accountability and helping you move forward is to work with somebody, right? Somebody who can point out, well, actually, didn't you say you were working on this? You were committed to do something here this week or whatever it was. And also someone there to just to give you that bit of a nudge or that bit of support to help you along, because it may not be always easy. In fact, a lot of the time, it may not be easy at all. And that someone could be either a peer, could be a team member, could be a friend, could be a coach as well. So coming towards the end, in terms of conclusions, what we have come across here, we've looked a bit backwards, like we looked at Janus and thinking, well, looking back at the last year, 2023, and then we're looking forward a little bit, like very briefly, in terms of what is a purpose and vision. What do we envisage for this coming year? What do we, what's important for us? And I think by understanding what is important, then we get the sense of what is our purpose. And that could be a short-term purpose, which is absolutely fine. That helps us to keep us motivated to moving forward. We covered a framework for setting solid goals. We talked about the SMART goals, SMART. And then we also have another framework, which is called HEART, which is making sure that those goals that we set are robust in the sense that they are meaningful to us, that we can truly own them, that we can, they're relevant to us, and they're good for us, right, in terms of achieving those goals. And we then sort of moved a little bit in terms of how we go about creating an action plan for us to move towards our goals. And I said about making, in a way, focusing on one particular key goal. What's a small step that you can make in order to make progress. And then we looked at the value of accountability, right, and measuring progress, very briefly. And obviously, as you can probably imagine, we've gone through a lot there very quickly, and there is a lot here that would take normally time, right, to explore on a personal basis. Because at the end of the day, they're not my goals that you'll consider, they're your goals. And you might not think of what is a goal that I have or what I need to have. It needs more reflection, and certainly sometimes working with somebody, like working with a coach, for example, can really help you to get clarity as to what it is that a goal that you want that is important for you. Because anyone could generate a goal, but then it's just a goal. If you don't identify with it, if it doesn't really serve you, then it's just a goal. And that means that if it's just a goal that someone just set and it's not truly yours, you don't feel inspired by it, you don't feel motivated by it, then that often would lead to an outcome that means perhaps the goal doesn't get achieved. But if it wasn't a good goal for you, then what was the point? So question now is what now? And I alluded to it a bit earlier, is first of all, is take immediate action on the first step of that priority goal of yours, right? Little step, was it Mencius or Confucius who said, you know, the first step as a journey of 10,000 miles starts with a one single step, right? So it's taking that step that help you build that momentum. And taking that first step often means taking that first step in the face of uncertainty. We often crave certainty. We want to make sure that it's going to be absolutely safe for us to make that first step, particularly when it's into the unknown, into the future. But really, we can only find out, we can only know with certainty of what's going to happen once we've made that step. You just have to do it. Okay. Even though it's scary, even though, you know, particularly if there's some things that we find particularly challenging. So making that first step, and then we start developing our bravery, our courage to keep moving forward, even in the face of the unknown, of the future, of our future. And another point as well is about seeking support. I've emphasized it earlier on. Seeking support, be it for accountability, someone who's going to hold, maybe it's a partner, accountability partner that can say, well, they made a note of what you've committed to do, and so come back and said at an agreed time, so, well, I noted that you said on this day that you're going to do this. Have you done it? Now, asking that question without judgment is just to sort of prompt you, right? That's important. It's not with a judgment, but just to prompt you. So, well, actually, I was aware that you were going to do this. Have you done it? And plans do change, absolutely. But at least that someone is there to prompt you to realize that actually there is a need for accountability. And that person could also be, if it's a coach, it could be a peer. That same person could also help you with some motivation, just to give you that bit of a boost. You know, sometimes we need a morale boost. You know, for example, even this month of January, you think of how many people there are who are setting themselves New Year's resolutions to, I don't know, lose weight, go to the gym. And by the end of January, beginning of January, those gym memberships are like packed, right? Those gyms are packed. Probably towards the end of January, oh, you know, it's a long month, you know, haven't been paid for a while. It's a long month. Christmas was just there. And then people just lose sight of what their original goal was set. So having that motivation is very important. And I think the more run up we do from the moment now, it keeps us building that momentum to move forward. And even when we get knocked down, even when things get tough, even we're moving through treacle or whatever, we just need to have that motivation to keep moving on, right? Even if it's smaller and smaller steps, at least we can keep moving on. And as well, having that support as well is important to get that clarity on your goals, right? I think if we are clear, if we have that focus through having that clarity on what we want to achieve, then that's part of the battle gone, because we know what we want to aim for. Now, later on, we might realize, hang on, we might need to change course a little bit, right? We might need to, that's absolutely, that happens, right? If you imagine it's like if you're sailing, right? You're maneuvering a boat, the wind and everything is changing, the waves, etc. You're having to course correct all the time. It's the same when we do our goals. You know, sometimes we have to just move in a certain direction as per goal, but then we need to adjust the goal. Absolutely. But all the time it's about having that clarity of that goal in context of that vision and your purpose. So I mentioned about coaching. So one possibility is working with me as a coach. So I provide coaching one-on-one basis. I call it personal mastery coaching. You're aware of it, that I use my martial arts training mindset. I coach executives and leaders to regain control and find, importantly, a sense of purpose in what they do. And some of the people, the clients that I work with, they may not be very clear as to what their purpose is. They probably worked for a while within the corporate world and they just found, well, I don't want more of the same. I want something that speaks more to me, that I want to do. In a way, what I ended up doing in a way, because I just felt there was something I really wanted to do and I just went with it. And that's, I'm definitely very grateful for having made that decision to do so. So what I provide is one-on-one coaching sessions over a 6-month period, very intensive sessions. It's all in a way to help you get out your own current way of thinking, to help you see things, your own situation in a different way, so that you can then take action and feel empowered. The coaching I provide as well between the sessions as well is, I say, on tap, through messaging. And also in the beginning, before we start as well, is to make sure that what are your individual needs, that is clear, making sure that's clear what those are, and find out if the coaching that I provide is a right fit. That's important, because if it's not a right fit, then it's then no purpose to move on. So they really, that's sort of what I provide. And any coaching I provide, first of all, I provide a description of what that is, the package I provide, before the strategy call. So you come to the call with an understanding of, well, what does it involve? What is the fee? I mean, that's often what we want to know. What is the fee? And then you go into the coaching, the sort of the strategy call, really, to find out, well, is this the right thing for me? If it is, great, and then you need to decide. If it's not, then that's fine too. It's, at the end of the day, it's so you got clarity in order for you to make a decision that is right for you. So that's what I provide. And some client testimonials I have from this is Simona, as an entrepreneur. She's from Rome. And she finished off, and her feedback here said that the sessions with me, they changed her every time. They were transformational, consciousness raising experiences at the highest level. That's praise indeed. And another client I had, Renee, executive director within the pharmaceutical industry. So she sort of finished and says, my time with Jung is both fulfilling and productive. And I feel very fortunate to have received his natural way of being and enlightenment, a true gift. It's yeah, very warm words that from clients. So really, I'd like to ask you now at this point, is there any questions, any sort of clarity that you want in terms of what we covered, in terms of the coaching, the frameworks, in terms of setting goals or vision, or indeed what I offer? Any questions or any thoughts?
Just thoughts from myself, Jung. So you hit on the point of New Year's resolution. And I think one of the things that I been thinking about is that do I need it to be the 2024 to actually set it's like, I suppose it's like going to the gym to lose weight, right? You need somebody else to tell you. You've got to be motivated yourself to actually do it. You don't need anybody to tell you this. You've just got to do it. If you, like you say, the goal setting is like you need to lose 10 kilos, right? Do you need your wife, girlfriend, or partner, or wherever it is, right, to actually tell you to do that? You would do, it's for you to do it naturally.
Yeah.
And I think I think I mentioned this before. It's more to do with the continuous cycle of improvement on yourself. It's never ending. Yeah, it's not just, oh, I've done a session with Jung and that's it. I've now resolved it. It's actually continuous. Using the tools that you've supplied. In you're defining setting the goals and things like that. It's actually it's continuing that constantly. And
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I think in a way, the personal mastery aspect, it certainly is about continual work, absolutely. And it's not like a destination, it's a way of life. I'd say in terms of the coaching I provide, it's not intended to be like forever ago. In a way, it's like, well, if I've coached you to the way to, let's say, look, if you were a client and I coached you into that, you were thinking for yourself so that you were able to fairly consistently motivate yourself, set goals or whatever, and achieve them. That sort of thing. Then at a certain point, it's like, well, maybe you wouldn't need so much of my support because you're self-sustained. You can keep in that respect. But if you did need, then I'll be there as well. So it depends on your needs, your because you're growing, it would change, and so your needs would change too. Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
That's the only thing I wanted to add, John.
Yeah. Thank you.
John.
Yeah, John.
anything from yourself?
No, I think thank you very much. It's been good to just kind of like sit down and think about some things. And yeah, I clearly need to reflect on some of the notes that I've taken down. You've probably seen me jotting away as you've been talking. So really appreciate that. It's been really useful.
So really, just in closing words, really, I'd like to sort of share with both of you is really call to action is make the most of now and move fully into 2024. Right, that's the only thing really. And thank you for your time. Thank you for hearing, taking note of the frameworks that we shared and looking back, and also more importantly looking forward. It's a bit like driving, right? You look forward, you see everything in front of you in the windscreen, but you also have that little rear view mirror that shows you a little bit what's behind, and that's important. So thank you. It's been great to see you, and
Yeah. No,
well,
nice to meet you as well, John.
right.
And you,
Okay.
Michael.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if any queries or anything, let me know. Give me a shout.
Okay, John. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Bye for now.
Cheers now. Bye.